Hi, everyone. My name is Caris Vujcec, and welcome to another edition of Push, where we celebrate female filmmakers and talk about the stories behind the stories.
Hi, I'm Melissa Malone. I am a co-founder and co-producer of Outtake Productions.
And I'm Diann Gogerty, also a co-producer at Outtake Productions.
Yay!
So happy to be here.
Diann, was it a dream of yours to become a storyteller?
I think that it was a dream of mine to become an actor at first. And I didn't understand necessarily why I wanted to be an actor, but I think that that push came from wanting to be a storyteller. I'm an extremely empathetic person, and I think I have a hard time finding a place for my emotions. And those emotions can come through easier in stories.
Where do your ideas come from for your stories?
They come from so many different places. I think since I was very, very little, I've always had a very vivid imagination, and I think I had a tendency to sort of crawl inside of my imagination a lot as a kid. And I find that even like since then and even into adulthood, a lot of those ideas come from things and people I love and experiences that I've had, but also sort of that imagination part of what if. A lot of my ideas come from what ifs. So it'll sort of be situated in like a lot of my stories are situated in real life with a twist. So I think a lot of that comes from sort of that childhood imagination that carried over into adulthood.
All right, great. So let's get into it. Outtake Productions, tell me how that got started.
It all got started because of, she's going to get a shout out right away from the very top. Rainey Moran, actually, who's been a part of a lot of our productions. When she was 11, I was babysitting for her, and she really wanted to do a behind the scenes. She wanted to learn how to direct. She wanted to learn how to filmmake, and there really wasn't a place for that for kids then. That was 11 or 12 years ago. And now there are those things, but they didn't exist then. So my wife and I decided we would create it. And we started sort of an after school program to teach kid and teen filmmaking at the time. And that project rolled into what became Or So the Story Goes, which was a web series that used kids and teens in front of and behind the camera. So it sort of started out as a way to teach kids and teens filmmaking, and it spiraled, if you will, into the web series world, and we kind of happily fell into it. And once we were in it, there was no getting out of it. So we created Outtake Productions for our series, for So the Story Goes, and then we branched out into other things that didn't necessarily involve kids and teens. And Rainey, you will see in a lot of our projects, is now a full-fledged adult, and she's still a part of a lot of what we do. So, yeah.
Wow, that's a fascinating start. Were you acting as you were creating this already? Were you filmmaking? What was
Yes.
your...
Yes, I also very much like Diann started out as an actor and a writer on my end, but I went to school for film and TV acting in New York, and that is a big reason that I got into what I did. But I did start out as an actor, and I've always been a writer. I've written scripts, I've written stories for as long as I can remember, but this was the first time that I actually produced my own stuff. So I started out that way.
Excellent. And Diann, how about you? How did things get started for you with producing and filmmaking and writing your own material?
Well, so I started out kind of in the acting world. Melissa and I have a cute little meet cute story. We met doing a children's theater show in Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we played 5-year-olds. I actually remember being at my audition and hearing her audition and being like, oh, crap, I'm not going to get it. And I went home, got in my bed, and then I got the call for the callback, and she was at the callback, and I was like, oh my God. And we became very good friends, very right away.
She failed to mention that she did get it.
I did get it.
Oh,
we were both in it.
Yeah, both in it together. We became very good friends right away. Even though she thought I didn't like her at first.
I did. It's true.
It's just because I'm very chipper.
Also true.
So that's how we got to be friends. When Theresa and Melissa started Outtake Productions, I was like, I want in. Let me in. What do you need? What can I do? What hat can I wear? So I started out kind of acting at first with them, and quickly kind of went into a co-producing and multi-hat wearing role.
Which both of you do so extraordinarily well. It's unbelievable how many hats you wear and the content that you produce. But it's like I said initially, it's quite prolific, this company and the two of you. So bravo, brava. Yep.
Women tend to be pretty good multitaskers and able to think about multiple things at a time. Mm-hmm. And Melissa and I both happen to be just like also very good at it. But that changes, with time.
Yeah, I get less good at it. Diann actually created a system that is genius for anyone that does wear multiple hats on a set. She created the system for me so that I knew which brain to use on set, because often I'm acting and also producing, and also I edit. So people will have a lot of, they have a lot of questions for me on a set at any given time. So Diann instilled a system where when someone was asking me a question, they needed to preface that question with which brain they needed. So editor brain, when we do this and this and this, and then that way my brain could sort of shift into what was needed. It was genius, and now we use it all the time. So
that's great. I love that.
I know how I need to be thinking about answering a question, because it's different depending on what lens you're looking at it.
Yeah,
it sure is. And being multi-hyphenates like you are, like we all understand, you do have to shift. It does get a little fragmented and schizophrenic at times. So good for you. Yay. I like that model. What do you find the most challenging currently, or if there's any obstacles that you're finding as you've gotten deeper into your work and your company has grown? Or have things become so streamlined that it's easy?
I wish. Wouldn't that be nice? Karen?
It's an open-ended question, so
nice. I think a few things. I think we probably both have answers for this, but I will say, obviously, any project, finances are always a huge obstacle, because
huge one.
And you can only in the beginning, it's also an obstacle, but it's a little easier because you haven't yet already done the crowdfunding, and people you can only crowdfund for so long, for so many projects. So I think it's harder the longer you go. Yeah. Getting older makes all things a little harder. Just scheduling wise alone. And, when we were in our 20s, when we started this, our schedules were obviously more flexible and freer, and didn't have children yet. Just scheduling alone, I think gets harder the older we get, in our capacity and our energy. And then I think we've run into now it's sort of a shift into, which I don't know if you want to talk about, but writing material that we aren't necessarily going to produce. So from a screenwriting perspective, they've shifted a little bit into needing to find outside sources as well. For collaboration.
Right. So, Diann, anything on that?
Yeah, I do think that has kind of come out of growth and the experience and need the push for something more and something bigger. That's come from also our life experiences together, and our friendship has grown, so our material has changed. And I think a lot of that is really good. A lot of that is, positive from working together for so long and on different things and having so many different stories together to create new stories. But that can in and of itself create its own challenge. I sometimes like feel like our greatest strength is also like our greatest weakness at the same time. Like this like huge passion for like wanting to do this. And then it gets like bigger and huge. And then it's like, okay, let's actually make that happen. How?
How?
You know, so I think it's like this, it's almost kind of always this like back and forth with the growth of our company, really.
Excellent. Yeah, wow. That's great. That's a lot of things to think about in there. I totally agree with you with the crowdfunding thing. The first time out of the gate, it's really exciting, second time out of the gate, and then it's like, for me, I know anyway, I can't go back for a third, people are tapped out. A lot of things have happened. We're all older. COVID was there, no one was working or is working, and industry changed and everything. And so it's how do we as indie creators continue what we're doing? And as you said, financing is always tough, but in those moments, I'm finding the passion is there. I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, I think that goes too with like just life experience, because I feel like when we first started making things also, like we were willing to let a lot more things go than we are now,
Right.
It was like, okay, well, we don't necessarily have, like, now we're very, like we don't want to do something without a sound mixer. In our 20s, we were like it's still a don't wait, create situation, but it gets a little more complicated, I think, like the more you do. And the like the learnings that you have from things that you have done, where you're like, oh, but this could have been a little different.
Well, the bar is higher, right? I mean,
exactly. Like, our bar raises higher and higher, which is a great thing. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. But it definitely does create like a push to be like, well, like now we need to do that one more thing. And it shows in the work, which is amazing to sort of see a progression. But it just, it's sort of that Diann and I are also, well, we're big pushers of ourselves. So I think like our expectations of ourselves get higher with each thing we do. And so like that sort of also creates its own spiral.
But I think that's excellent that you're big pushers of yourself. I think we need to be. I think growth, accepting where you are, but also setting goals and knowing something. I don't want to say greater, because I don't want to diminish the work that we've already done, or that you've already done, but it's higher aspirations, deeper stories, finer quality. I totally know what you're saying too, is like what's acceptable and what isn't, what you can let pass, what you can't let pass anymore, and you've already, delved into this question too. It kind of ties in. How has your focus and subjects of stories changed over the past few years with the changes in your own life? And you answered that beautifully earlier about, Diann, you have a family now, so things, are different. We are all older. Things shift around that a bit.
We've all kind of been through like a shared life experience too with the COVID-19 pandemic. Like I'm sure it's come up and it feels like maybe a little, I don't know. I don't think it does, because it made a huge impact on all of our lives, and kind of as filmmakers, it made a very specific impact too. So I think kind of living that together as a production company, but then also like sharing that experience with other filmmakers, and then learning from what they did. How did they cope? Like, what did they do?
Right.
How did we?
Well, I was going to say, and I think it also pushed us to create even in the pandemic. And that's how Block Watch was formed, right?
That was I was going to say, and from that, Block Watch was born.
And it was a comedy because it's what we needed. Like there were a lot of things that we hadn't done really. We didn't do a lot of comedy. We learned we're funny, which is nice. It doesn't always have to be scary and sad. But yeah, I think there was that. It did push us to like think outside of the box and how to still create. So I do think like, it was a huge, and that following year in the festival circuit was so, like Diann just said, was like so inspiring and so fun to see how people did manage to create, if they did during the pandemic, or like how it affected things, and sort of get back into how we're now going to create after, because I think it's still like we continued Block Watch post pandemic. And
love the series.
Thank you. But we discussed like changing it up because we could then be together to film. And I think we kept a lot of what we started during the pandemic because it really worked and we really liked it. But
yeah, and I think for myself, and I know Melissa also, but like since the pandemic and on, like many things have happened in our lives. Like there's just been a lot of like personal growth. And I think personal growth results in a different story that you're telling, right? Like the story that I tell now as me, a mother of two, is totally different than the story I was telling, you know, back when I was 19 and living a very different life.
Right.
So, for me, it's kind of changed and developed my like want to tell stories through writing more, where I wasn't as confident in my abilities to write specifically prior to kind of the last 2 years. It's really taken on and developed a new sense of like who I am as an artist.
That's great.
Through taking on writing in a new way. Yeah. So thank you, Melissa, for continually.
We'll just thank each other.
Continually telling me to just go ahead and do it. Like you can do it.
You do it all the time.
Yeah.
I also think I went from now I think I went from telling stories that were inspired by things that I had seen or things that I loved or things that I was doing. Like a lot of that inspiration was almost an homage to things that I loved. Like, Or So the Story Goes was an homage to all the horror movies and horror stories that I loved as a kid, in many ways. And like the stories that I knew as a kid, because it was a retelling of classic children's literature as, you know, something scary and modern. And I think now, especially, it was true a little bit before, but especially since Theresa died, I've started wanting to tell stories that I want to see or stories that I feel like other people would want to see,
right?
To sort of be seen, or our full length series that we're working on now is very much a grief story, and it's sort of a love story to people that have experienced or are experiencing grief. So I think a lot of that has shifted from like things that I was inspired by to wanting to inspire. So,
right.
Yeah.
That, was an excellent point to bring up, that things have changed. And I think it's fantastic that you as a production company I've always been amazed at how you've been able to, how you do shift and how you keep things rolling as much as you do. I mean, kudos. We've mentioned Block Watch, which was a really funny series that you did pretty much via Zoom during the pandemic. Highly recognized and awarded on the circuit. Diann won a Best Actress award last season on the circuit?
Yes.
Last, yes. I think. There's so many for you. I forget. I couldn't even make a total list. Tell us a little bit about Kith and Kin.
Well, Kith and Kin was our first series created not with a young adult audience in mind. So it was a fun delve into things. Theresa and I were actually visiting my mom's house. She lives in the mountains of North Carolina. And we were inspired by just the Smoky Mountains in general and all of the little houses tucked away and all the secrets that might exist within those homes. And so we came home, and I think in 2 days, which was absolutely insane, wrote the entire series and started getting things together. But it is basically a story about 3 sisters who travel back to their childhood home to learn that their parents have been keeping a dark secret. And it's sort of like what we will do for family and what we'll sacrifice for them.
And it's awesome. And it did very well on the circuit. And I am a big fan. So congrats
Thank
again
you.
To that. Now, how did the shooting of that, did you go to North Carolina? Did you shoot upstate Catskills? What did you do? And how long did that take?
Well, technically it took a really
long time. We were supposed to actually film that in the summer of 2020.
Yeah.
There you go.
We were all set. We were cast. We were ready to go. Obviously, we postponed, and then Theresa died in October, which brought a whole. We were trying to decide. Diann and I got together, and we both knew we still wanted to do it, but it was just a matter of like when and how, and was everyone still on board? So once we decided, and learned that we were both on the same page about that, we tagged Diann Rainey, who was Theresa's little directing protege for many, many years. She was her assistant director on everything we had done. We asked her if she would step in and direct, and she was very excited to do it. So everyone was still on board. Everyone was amazing. It was a huge emotional project for us all, but we did end up filming it in summer of 2021 over the course of 2 weeks.
2 weeks on location at the house that inspired the story.
Awesome.
In North Carolina.
That's great.
We traveled down with our cast and our crew. We did a couple of local hires who have now joined our film family. Ellen and Rick, they played the parents. Were both Southern local. One was Virginia, one was North Carolina.
They were great.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing. They were local. And so was the tattoo, the character that played the tattoo artist, Grady. He was local as well. But we filmed, over the course of a couple of weeks in North Carolina. Most of us that traveled down from New Jersey and New York, we lived together for those 2 weeks.
It was like literally a family.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you film, you become a film family anyway. But living together on the set too, brings another level to the dynamic. It's just like you haven't had your coffee yet, and I'm seeing you. It's
true. And we always say a lot of the scenes that took place in the beginning of the series
so funny.
That are sort of it turned into sort of almost a dark comedy for the pilot, which we weren't anticipating. But I think we filmed a lot of those scenes last. And so we'd had 2 weeks living together, the sisters. And a lot of comedic elements came out that would not have come out. We had just met on set to film.
Totally.
Just from together. Yeah. For those 2 weeks, we would wrap sometimes, at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And then everyone would sort of raid the refrigerator and we'd watch the dailies all together. It was just a very, very unusual and cool experience filming Kith and Kin. Yeah.
Wow, that's so great.
It really was.
Moving on to another project, The Angry Man. What can you say about that? I saw that this year, although I thought I had seen a trailer or something prior to seeing it in New Jersey a few months back in September. But I loved it. I screamed. I was the one that screamed, but I thought it was terrific. And me, I'm a thriller person. That's my jam, and so I thought it was fantastic. What sparked that idea?
It was a competition. It was a Starable. It was a Starable competition for a cold open. It was a writing competition that I entered just for fun. And I won, which was amazing. So the opening of The Angry Man was what I wrote, the cold open for the competition. And then Theresa loved it. And at the time, we pretty much didn't need any excuse to create a new series. So we were let's make a new. And then we were both we had just finished wrapping Knock Knock, one of our Or So the Story Goes seasons. And we were actually, that's just too much to start right away. So instead we decided to turn it into our first short film.
Yep.
And make sort of an attempt at short films and see how it went. So that was the inspiration.
And how many minutes is it?
12-ish?
12, yeah. Yeah, it's really just the right length. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was just the right length.
We filmed more.
Yeah.
I think we cut 2 full scenes from it, actually, but because my mind works in series, or at least, it still does.
Right.
So I love exposition. So there was a lot more exposition that we realized in editing we did not need, but it was a whole location, actually, that we rented.
Yeah, we rented
that we did cut. But the final product is, I think, 11 or 12 minutes. And it's sort of, oddly enough, is similarly themed to Kith and Kin in a way. Now that we've talked about both of them, but it was sort of that idea of family and the mountain spirit. A lot of it sort of spilled over into Kith and Kin because I can't let a series idea go, I guess. So I think that could happen. And even this year, a lot of people thought The Angry Man was a pilot at a lot of people on the circuit. And we were well, maybe.
We're not the idea just yet.
No, never say never here.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, it's great. And it's also great that you may have that as a launch for something, but as a solo piece, I thought it was
Yeah.
outstanding. It was really enjoyable.
Teresa was very excited for Diann to play a role that we hadn't really given her. It was because upon writing it, Teresa was like, well, obviously normally like you would be Danny and Diann would be Eden, but let's mix it up. And so we like switched it up, and that was kind of the first time we did that, which was kind of fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, well, it was a hit. It was a hit. What do you like most about the circuit, the festival circuit?
I mean, I think we love that it just feels like family. And Melissa always says it feels like summer camp, and she's not wrong. Like every time we go back, it's like, hey, how you
Yeah,
doing? We keep up with everybody throughout the year, of course, but that like kind of like little like chunk of the time that you like get to see everybody at the festivals or like even virtually, like if you can't be there, like it's just really nice to kind of have that feeling of like camaraderie, teamwork,
yeah.
collaboration. I feel like the indie series world that we're in like really does support each other, and that feels really good.
It's such a unique family, right?
Yeah.
Coming together, doing your
It is
things,
so
then coming
different.
together again. It's such a blast.
And it's so different from like other types, I think, of film festivals in that way, like the circuit
Yeah.
specifically. But I know like the first Web Fest we ever attended was Vancouver Web Fest in 2015, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I know,
And
right?
it's the first Web Fest we'd ever attended. We met Herman Wang that festival, Tom Chamberlain we met that year. We met a lot of people that year, but it was our first experience with it, and I know Teresa and I just like it very much just felt this is so dramatic to say, but it felt like coming home. So it very much felt like we had found our people and we had found like something that we loved, and that year on the circuit was a big reason we kept doing what we had done. So it really was a big reason why we wanted to keep creating the series. We love producing and we love filmmaking, we loved doing it, but I think if that had not been our experience that first year, I think it would have made things slightly harder. We would have needed a bigger push, if you will, to
Yeah.
keep going in this series specific world.
For me anyway, what I was going to say earlier is we'd seen each other, we'd met at New Jersey lightly one year, and then but then it was in Florida, in Miami Web Fest, the pandemic year, when everyone it was what, 2021, like when everyone felt like we were just like released out of a cage, traveling again and doing things. And then the Minnesota Web Festivals for us has been a great place where myself and my team and you have connected and reconnected. And it always has that great feeling of home, camaraderie, friendship, collaboration, like we've talked about, support throughout the year too, like supporting each other social media wise, each other's campaigns, posts and things. It's just a great, it's like you said, it's like coming home, and it kind of makes you want to produce more so that you can just keep doing it, to be involved. How is the process of ideation, or coming up with an idea and creating, through full production into releasing it? How is it, if at all, or if not, say that too, how is it like giving birth, literally?
I do think that there is. When you first came to me with this idea, like I immediately knew the connection that you were making. Like I didn't even have to like read like I saw the name and your tagline, and I was like, oh, I get it. Like it absolutely makes sense. You put so much of everything into creating something. Now, when you're technically creating a human, like your body is doing like a lot of the work. So you're not thinking about that aspect, but I think that aspect of it comes more like in the aftermath, in the physical children birth math, and in the filmmaking world, that part kind of comes before instead. So I think that
interesting.
part is shifted in that sense. But otherwise, like the creation that you were making, I mean, I think correlates to be the same. I don't want to say like equal necessarily, because
No,
I
no.
like I can't say that because they're different. Yeah, it's like apples and oranges technically. If you think about it really from like the point of like implantation, or like the seed of like you coming up with this idea, the collaboration part of it, I mean, it does take more than one person technically to make a baby, and it certainly does make it a lot easier when you have someone who is supporting you along the way, like through the pregnancy. When you have a partner, Melissa and I are partners, so obviously we worked well together. Sure. And we like that aspect, but I personally, teamwork makes the dream work. That's kind of my mantra in general. So I feel that way about everything. I felt that way through my pregnancy, 100%. And I feel that way through our filmmaking as well. I think at the end, this product that you've created with the film, I have just as much pride. I have just as much sweat and tears in just a different vein that have gone into it. Yes, physically it is different, but
of course,
still exhausting.
Yeah,
like, you still don't get any sleep.
Exactly, you don't get any sleep. You know, sometimes you forget to eat,
and you eat at weird times.
People have to remind you to take care of yourself.
See, Melissa, you do know what it's like. You deferred this question to Diann, but you know exactly what it's like.
Yeah, there are a lot of the same things, you know. So they call the first 3 months after you give birth, they refer to it as the 4th trimester of your pregnancy, right? But I think really, if you think about that aspect of like, oh, they're calling like your first 3 months with your baby another aspect, an extension of your pregnancy. To me, I make that correlation to like all of the work that goes in after you've finished filming, right? There's so much that happens afterwards.
Yeah.
There's so much that you still have to do.
And it's tedious and exhausting. And
it's some of the most important work, right?
Totally.
Like, if you don't get all of that finished and together at the end, you don't have, you know, kind of a product, which, you know, if
technically you're going to keep your baby alive for 3 months too, so it's similar.
That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, it's kind of like, I get this, like, I really do get this link between the two, because they really just make sense in my mind. And I think it's really about, I guess for me, like the emotional connection.
Oh, that's interesting.
The way that I'm handling and thinking about things emotionally are really similar, even though they're technically very different things.
Now, I love that.
So, yeah, you know, we do. We've always called, each of our little productions a baby. So,
yeah. No, I love that. I mean, people say that this is my baby when referring to other things, projects, creations, film, music, you know, dance piece, whatnot, choreography. And there's always the talk about giving birth to things, you know, in other ways other than children, of course, being the prime and most important, obviously, human life. I just thought it was there's interesting correlations for us, especially as women. What else do we give birth to? And so that was a beautiful answer and very complex. So thank you. What?
Beautiful, complex.
Beautiful and complex.
Beautiful and complex. There you go. Is there any legacy that you are already thinking of in terms of your work?
I think there's multiple legacies that we would consider. I think kind of the way our projects have shifted have created new things. I think for me, and also for Diann, we've talked about it, but like obviously one of the big legacies of Outtake Productions is just Theresa's legacy. So I think even now, like we still have projects that like Theresa directed that have not been on the circuit yet, that we're putting out on the circuit, or things that Theresa had a hand in writing that we have not produced yet that are sort of in mind for that, sort of keeping her legacy alive, which a couple of the festivals themselves have helped with that, with the awards in her name and things like that. So I think that's
New Jersey and Baltimore right now, correct? Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So those are the things I think of when I think of like the technical, literal word of legacy, but then also it's sort of always been my purpose as far as a legacy goes, to create not necessarily the products themselves, I guess, but the production aspect of it. I think Outtake's legacy has always been, yeah, to be a set or to be a production that people are proud to be a part of and want to be at and feel and know that they're wanted there. Theresa instilled our very first production we ever did, and we still do it. We have family dinner every single night on set, no matter what, just as a time to stop and eat and get to know each other.
Behind, like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
It's very Italian of her, but yeah, like no matter what. So I think, and we've had multiple people that have joined our productions and said, like, I've never been on a set like this, which is a huge, huge compliment to hear. Like, just obviously there's stress on every set, but I think just like I think filmmaking in general has such a negative connotation for a lot of people on sets, just of like being toxic, and they aren't all. And I think so that's a big part of what we want to do with Outtake Productions is sort of just respect, if nothing else, of everyone on set and everyone that's involved, and sort of letting people know that we're grateful that they're a part of it and creating something that we're all proud of. So I think that's not from a production standard, but from a company standard. I think that's a big legacy
that's beautiful. That's great. That's great. Thank you.
That's something I think we talk about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually makes a lot of sense for us.
I hadn't thought about it until literally right now, but I think
we talk about it all the time, but to call it specifically our legacy is thank you.
Yeah, but I do think that is
helping us look at it.
I think that's like if I had to think about like what I want people to think of about Outtake Productions in the future, if they were to think of one thing, I think that would be it. I think it would be community, if anything.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you both. Anything else you want to add about your work or things in the future? I know you talked about this.
No, I think we are, this year is sort of becoming a year of collaborations, as we are right here. So we're excited to do this. We're collaborating with some other filmmakers on our first journey into a podcast.
Awesome.
Which we're really excited about. So I think, we're excited to kind of see what happens this year.
As am I, and as is everyone, to see what's next for Outtake Productions. Thank you so much, both of you. Really, really honored that you said yes, and looking forward to more, and to our collaborations as well, wherever that may lead.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.